Have you ever heard of a place where the name alone is enough to make people hesitate? The Road of Death. It sounds like an exaggerated legend, yet on this planet, there truly are routes where every single meter traveled carries real weight. There are mountain passes suspended between cliffs thousands of meters high, stretches of concrete quietly reclaimed by the ocean within just a few hours, roads cutting across blazing red deserts, or climbing straight up to altitudes where the air is so thin that every breath becomes a test. But the question is not only how dangerous they are, it is this: what makes human beings continue moving forward? Are you curious enough to go all the way to the end of this journey and face the final road, whose name is not a metaphor, but was born from real history? On this journey, you will step onto paths where fog, tides, mud, and deep ravines challenge your composure all at once. In the majestic Atlas Mountains, there is a mountain pass that makes people hold their breath from the very first bend. Tizi, Morocco. This pass was built by French engineers between 1926 and 1932, nearly a century ago. At the time, they had to carve through the mountain with explosives and rudimentary tools, cutting each meter of road into sheer rock faces. What you see today is the mark of a challenge against nature left behind from the colonial era. At 2,093 meters above sea level, higher than many ski resorts in Europe, every curve here opens into a drop that makes your stomach tighten. The road does not run straight. It winds like a snake, folding itself along the mountainside, with a succession of sharp bends that force drivers to turn the wheel almost to its limit. In some sections, the road is barely wide enough for two vehicles to pass each other within inches. Below lies a deep valley where tiny fields look like streaks of color brushed across the earth. A small miscalculation here is not just a slipping tire, it is an open void waiting below. When dusk settles over the Atlas Range, the rock shifts to a deep red, then glows like heated metal. Highland winds sweep across the slopes, carrying spirals of red dust along the pass. From above, Tizi looks like a slender incision drawn across the massive body of the mountains. Breathtakingly beautiful and astonishingly fragile. Nearly a century has passed, yet this route retains its original challenge. It is not merely a link between Marrakech and Taroudant. It stands as proof that humans once chose to cling to the cliffs and carve a path through what seemed impossible. And as your vehicle slowly rounds another tight bend, the question that echoes in your mind is not how beautiful the landscape is, but whether your hands are steady enough to make it through that suspended stretch of road. If Tizi leaves you tense because of its height and the suspended curves along the Atlas Mountains, then in western France, the challenge comes from the ocean itself. Passage du Gois is a road more than 4 kilometers long, connecting the mainland to the island of Noirmoutier. Famous for its fragile beauty as it stretches across the sea like a slender ribbon laid over the Atlantic. Yet many visitors, after crossing it, repeat a warning that sounds almost unsettling. It really is a trap. The remark feels paradoxical because the scene appears so peaceful. The water mirrors the blue sky, and cars glide between 2 bands of sea, creating the illusion of driving along a fairy tale road. Everything looks calm, even inviting. So, what makes people describe such a stunning place that way? The answer lies in timing when you least expect it. Just hours after the surface lies dry, the tide begins to rise. At first, a thin sheet of water skims across the concrete, seemingly harmless. Then the level climbs faster than many anticipate, and in less than an hour, the entire roadway can disappear beneath cold waves. The ocean makes no noise, offers no dramatic warning. It simply advances quietly and reclaims its path. There have even been instances where cars found themselves surrounded by water while still in motion. Drivers realized too late how quickly the tide was rising, only when their tires began to lose traction. Along the route stand tall rescue towers, where those who miscalculate the timing must climb up and wait for the sea to recede, stranded between horizons, watching their vehicles below. Passage du Gois is therefore both a breathtaking canvas stretched across the ocean and a reminder that nature moves to its own rhythm. And as you drive along the shimmering road under golden evening light, the question is no longer how beautiful it is, but whether you have truly left before the ocean decides to close the exit behind you. The sea can swallow a road within hours, but on the other side of the globe, there is a place where the danger comes from stillness. Dalton Highway, Alaska, USA. A route stretching more than 660 kilometers across frozen tundra, where you can drive for hours and watch the landscape barely change. Gas stations are rare, phone signals nearly vanish, And if you forget to fill your tank before setting out, you will quickly learn what Plan B truly means. This road was built to serve the Trans-Alaska Pipeline system, and much of its length still remains rough gravel. In winter, temperatures can drop low enough to thicken fuel, while windshields frost over within minutes. Have you ever tried opening a car door in winds dozens of degrees below zero? In summer, conditions appear more forgiving, until fine dust from heavy trucks coats your windshield. These trucks roar past at high speed, flinging gravel in your direction as if survival were part of the journey. What makes the Dalton Highway unsettling is not cliffs or tides. It is distance. If your vehicle breaks down in a snowstorm, help could be more than 100 kilometers away. Can you imagine what you would do? The Alaskan summer sun lingers near the horizon almost all night, casting pale light over the empty tundra. The road stretches like an endless thread through vast openness. Dalton Highway does not hide its danger behind poetic beauty. It lays everything bare: cold, isolation, and immeasurable distance. And when your fuel gauge begins to dip toward empty in a land with no signs ahead, the final question forming in your mind may be this: are you ready for the next 200 kilometers? Or are you simply hoping that it will probably be fine? Can you imagine what it would be like to live in a place where a road can change completely overnight? In central Mali, across the floodplains of the Niger River, around Mopti and Makina, dirt roads are among the harshest in West Africa, not because they are high or narrow, but because they exist in two entirely opposite states. During the dry season, the ground cracks under heat that can reach 50 degrees Celsius. The Harmattan wind carries dust down from the Sahara. Pushing fine particle levels at times far beyond safe limits. When a single vehicle passes, the air behind it instantly dissolves into a thick red haze. Visibility shrinks to just a few dozen meters, and windshields become coated in dust within minutes. Trucks overloaded with passengers standing shoulder to shoulder continue moving through the heavy dust, because it is the only way to reach the market or the hospital. But when the rainy season arrives, the scene reverses completely. Water from the Niger spills across the plains, turning familiar tracks into deep mud and flooded ground. A road that was clear beneath your tires yesterday may vanish today. Heavy trucks sink into thick mud, wheels spinning helplessly. In some places, the boundary between road and field nearly disappears. It is this contrast that has made Mali's dirt roads famous in documentaries about the world's most grueling journeys. Here, the road is never fixed. It depends entirely on nature. So if this morning you were driving through red dust, and tomorrow that same path becomes a strip of mud deep enough to swallow your axles, what would you rely on? Experience or luck? After the season-shifting dirt roads of Mali, the journey takes us to a place where the road does not disappear, but every bend feels like a survival test. Bayburt D.915, northeastern Turkey. From above, this route looks as if someone accidentally dropped a twisted thread along the slopes of the Pontic Mountains. Layer upon layer of switchbacks stack like steep steps between cloud and rock. The view is so striking that you might forget you are looking at one of the roads many drivers consider the most dangerous in Europe. What makes D.915 notorious is not its length, but its 29 consecutive sharp bends. Many of them almost right angles carved into the mountainside. Much of the road lacks guardrails, and it is narrow enough that two vehicles passing each other must measure every centimeter. If this road were a test, each curve would be a question demanding an immediate answer. Built in the early 20th century for military purposes, D.915 retains its original ruggedness. Steep gradients, tight turns, and stacked tiers of roadway rise like a colossal staircase toward the sky. On a clear day, you might feel as if you are driving through a landscape painting. But when fog descends, everything changes. The curves ahead dissolve into dense white cloud, and you begin steering more by instinct than by sight. After heavy rain, landslides remain a constant threat. Small rocks can tumble down at any moment, reminding you that nature is still the final architect here. Some have joked that D.915 feels like the hardest level of a video game, except there is no restart button. And when the steering wheel trembles slightly at the highest bend, the question is no longer how beautiful the scenery is, but whether your hands are truly as steady as you believe. Bayburt D.915 does not need 100-meter drop-offs to inspire fear. It only needs 29 consecutive trials, each demanding absolute focus. Will you take the 29th bend with a smile, or with sweat gathering in your palms? The next destination may leave you asking a very honest question. Who decided this could be called a road. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan. Hidden in the Gilgit-Baltistan region, this route leads toward the base of Nanga Parbat, the 9th highest mountain in the world. Its name sounds as gentle as a storybook meadow. Yet the journey to reach it is anything but. The road stretches roughly 16 kilometers, with the final 8 kilometers carved directly into a rock face. The surface is barely wider than a vehicle's tires, just enough for a jeep to pass, if the driver truly trusts their steering. To the right stands a sheer wall of stone. To the left, an open drop disappearing into depth. At times, the distance between the tire and the edge is measured in centimeters. The paradox lies in the surroundings. They are so breathtaking that you almost forget where you are. Snow crowns Nanga Parbat and reflects the sunlight. The valley below glows green. Mountain winds drift through with a sense of calm. Yet the steering wheel in your hands tells a different story. Every curve demands absolute focus. The only suitable vehicles are aging off-road jeeps, guided by local drivers who know every rock by memory. The surface is uneven, sections tilt outward toward the drop, and a single misjudgment could carry serious consequences. What makes Fairy Meadows Road remarkable is not just its narrowness or elevation, but the sensation of traveling along a fragile boundary between surreal beauty and the raw challenge of terrain. As the vehicle inches through the tightest stretch, and you feel every vibration beneath the tires, the question is no longer whether the landscape is beautiful, but whether you can remain steady enough to keep your eyes fixed straight ahead. You think you've already seen dangerous roads? Try imagining a route where some sections are only 3 meters wide, while a 600-meter drop yawns beside you, and nearly the entire stretch has no guardrails. Many drivers call it one of the most dangerous roads in China. Daobei Liang Sky Road, Chongqing. Its name means knife's edge. And that is exactly what it feels like. You are driving along a thin strip, clinging to a mountain ridge, as if the slightest tilt could send everything sliding into the valley below. The average width is about 5.5 meters, but in several narrow sections, it shrinks to around 3 meters, just enough for a single vehicle to pass. If 2 cars meet at one of these tight points, one must reverse inch by inch, tires edging close to the drop. Beneath lies a near-vertical 600-meter void. No metal barriers, no concrete walls, only a fragile boundary between plateau and abyss. What makes this place even more unsettling is its almost flawless beauty. wind turbines turn slowly along the ridgeline. Seas of clouds drift below. The sky stretches wide and blue like a painted canvas. You might be gazing at one of Chongqing's most spectacular landscapes, while sitting only centimeters from danger. Then the fog rolls in. Visibility collapses. The next curve dissolves into a sheet of white. You can no longer see the depth below, but that does not make it disappear. This is not simply a scenic road. It is a test of nerves. A small miscalculation may offer no second chance. So if you are climbing that knife's edge with another sharp bend ahead and 600 meters of open air beneath, would you still be steady enough to continue? At nearly 6,000 meters above sea level, where the air is so thin that every step feels as though a heavy stone is pressing against your chest, there exists a road that leads straight toward the mouth of an active volcano. It may sound exaggerated, but it is real. Cotopaxi Volcano, Route Ecuador. Cotopaxi rises to 5,897 meters, 19,347 feet, ranking among the highest active volcanoes in the world. At this altitude, the oxygen level in the air drops to only about 50 to 60% of what it is at sea level. That means each breath delivers nearly half the oxygen your body is used to. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing grows heavier. Even a short walk can feel like a long-distance run. From afar, Cotopaxi appears almost perfectly shaped, a snow-capped cone standing against Ecuador's sky. At sunrise, sunlight reflects off the glacier, creating one of the most spectacular views in South America. Yet that beauty conceals another reality. Cotopaxi remains active. It has erupted in the past and retains the potential to melt its thick ice cap, sending volcanic mud flows racing down the valleys below. As you ascend, the road gradually shifts from asphalt to rough stone, then to steep slopes layered with ice and volcanic gravel. Cold winds cut across the mountainside. The thinning air turns each step into a test of endurance. You are not simply climbing a mountain. You are approaching a living geological system where beauty and danger exist side by side at nearly 6,000 meters above the world. The next place is one that most drivers who have passed through call the Giant Dragon. One look from above, and you understand how the name was born. It is Tianmen Mountain Road, China, better known as Dragon Road. Located in Zhangjiajie, Hunan Province, this 11-kilometer stretch coils upward with 99 sharp bends, twisting along the mountainside like a dragon writhing through the clouds. The number 99 is no coincidence. In Chinese culture, the number 9 symbolizes power and longevity. Here, that symbol repeats itself in 99 consecutive trials. The road climbs from about 200 meters to more than 1,300 meters above sea level, a vertical gain of over 1,100 meters in a relatively short distance. Many of the bends approach 180 degrees, stacked one above another like a giant staircase built for cars. From the summit, The entire sequence of 99 curves unfolds like a perfectly designed labyrinth. The view is breathtaking. But for the person behind the wheel, each turn is a calculation speed, steering angle, braking distance. And when fog rolls in, the dragon slowly disappears into a sea of cloud, leaving only faint curves suspended in white. Beautiful, majestic, and demanding, this is not merely a road. It is 99 moments where you must prove your composure. Do not look away, because the next destination may make you look twice to ensure you are not watching a special effect. Have you ever wondered why a road that still exists, still carries vehicles every day, bears such a heavy name as Death Road? The name was not created for drama. It was born from reality, a 60 to 70 kilometer route connecting La Paz to the Yungas region of Bolivia. At its highest point, you stand above 4,600 meters before descending along the steep slopes of the Andes. Bolivia's Death Road, La Carretera de la Muerte, was once considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world. Many sections were barely wide enough for a large truck, with a rock wall on one side and a drop of more than 600 meters on the other. For years, vehicles drove on the left, so drivers could better see the edge near their wheels. Dense fog could blanket a curve within minutes. Rain left the surface slick. Waterfalls crossed the road. Mud and falling rocks demanded constant concentration. Before a newer highway was built, reports once recorded 200 to 300 fatalities per year due to accidents from brake failure on long descents to collisions on narrow passes. White crosses line the roadside as quiet memorials, and rescue operations in such terrain have always been complex. Yet the story of Death Road extends beyond the asphalt. Below in the Yungas valleys, Cocaleros coca farmers stretch steel cables across deep ravines to shorten mountain descents from over an hour to about 30 seconds. Aging pulley systems, weathered cables, improvised braking methods using branches and rope all suspended over open space. Workers chew coca leaves to reduce fatigue and hunger during long hours, rushing citrus harvests to market before they spoil. In lower regions such as San Borja, drivers transport cattle back toward La Paz. Losing a single animal can mean losing nearly all profit. So they drive through the night, fighting exhaustion with coca or cacao. On one side, cables suspended across valleys. On the other, a cliff-hugging road once as busy as a highway despite the risks. In Bolivia, livelihood and danger often travel side by side. That is why, even though it still operates and has even become a destination for adventurous cyclists today, the road retains the name carved into its past: Death Road. We have just traveled through routes where every meter carries a question. Are humans conquering nature, or simply learning to survive within its limits? From deep ravines and rolling fog to slick mud and roads reclaimed by tides, the boundary between beauty and risk can be separated by only a few centimeters. What makes these places linger in memory is not only height or statistics, but the fragile sensation of tires edging near a drop, weather shifting in seconds, a hurried decision carrying lasting consequences. And yet people continue to drive, to work, to return home. Perhaps there are even bolder places waiting beyond the horizon. If you had to choose one road to experience, which would it be? Share your thoughts and step with us into the next journey.